This new buffed out Hunter Void build makes you a PvE god. You'll be running around in endgame PvE whilst underpowered with multiple benefits. You'll have increased DPS, infinite invisibility, infinite devour which gives you unlimited grenades and instant max health on kills. You'll have infinite volatile rounds, and on every single kill, depending on how you use this build, you'll go invisible too. If that's not enough, you can literally get your super back in seconds if you're in the right situation. And guys, there's a bunch more stuff to this build that makes it one of the best hunter builds in the game that just dominates everything. And the ad clearing control we have is just insane, regardless of the activity you're playing. Now there's a few variants to this build similar to my last one yesterday. So one variant will be used for insane ad clearing by chaining between volatile rounds and infinite invisibility, which is perfect for most endgame content where you have a lot of ads. And the second variant will give you infinite invisibility on demand whenever you need it, which is good for legend and master content whilst massively underpowered, like this master lost sector here, or even a GM. Regardless, both of these build variants just make you a complete god, and it just makes endgame PvE easy mode. And later in the video, I'll show you those optimized setups as well as alternative choices if you don't have certain things unlocked yet. So guys, be sure to leave a rating, comment what your best build is down below, perhaps subscribe so you don't miss out on future builds, and now let's become a true void god. Roll the intro. Now over the past few years we've covered all types of builds in the game, from stasis to solar, arc, void and strand, but with every new season, a lot of these builds get new quality of life changes, whether that's new aspects and fragments, or just new interactions with certain exotics or artifact perks. Which is why if you like this build and you want to see more like this, then I have a new Lightfall Season 20 playlist down below, where you can find all of my latest builds, new builds and updated ones for the new build crafting system, so be sure to check those out when you get a chance because you might just find your new best build. But with this one today, we have two setups that you can easily swap between to suit your playstyle, which will give you infinite invisibility, infinite volatile rounds, infinite devour, as well as a bunch more. Because the way this build works is we'll be using Orbs of Power, one of the new artifact perks, and one of the new void fragments introduced this season to really make this build so much more powerful than it already was pre-Lightfall release. And honestly, there's so many different combinations you can do with this build, it's kinda crazy. So you can use the Gyrfalcons, Omnioculus, 6 Coyote, Star Eaters, and honestly there's so many exotics you can use, and the best part about this build is that you don't need to make many changes, so all you need to do is just swap out the exotic and use the same mods. So if you're using 6 Coyote for this build, but you also want to use Gyrfalcons, then just swap the pieces around and keep the same mod slotted on. For this build we'll be using those two exotics, and there will be two setups that you can use, which I'll go through shortly in the video. But as we go through those setups I will point out alternatives as well. Now the way you'll use this build for setup 1, the Gyrfalcons route, you'll start by dodging to go invisible. Then coming out of invis, you'll have volatile rounds and a void weapon DPS boost. Then kill and add when volatile rounds is actually active, and this will make you invisible while spawning in void breaches, as well as orbs on multi-kills. Picking up these orbs will give you armor charge stacks, and from here you just keep repeating the same thing. Kill ads while you have volatile rounds, which will make you invisible, then come out and shoot again. And bear in mind, all of those orbs and breaches we pick up will activate our devour, which will then give us grenade energy and instant max health on kills, which is just insane. This works because Gyrfalcons is giving us volatile rounds after emerging from being invisible, and then our aspect, Stylish Executioner, is going to make us invisible when we defeat a volatile target. So that will loop between those two effects. And if you really wanted to, you could even use weapons like Collective Obligation to really take this build even further. Now that's not really the broken part because you could do that last season, right? The best part about this is that using the new fragment this season, the Echo of Cessation, we'll be able to create void breaches when defeating volatile targets, and collecting a void breach or an orb with the Echo of Starvation will give us Devour. So we'll no longer be relying on multi-kills, which can be quite difficult to achieve in things like a GM. But what actually makes this build even more broken is that the new artifact perk, Void Weapon Channeling, it will increase our Void Weapons DPS for each charged ability. Now bear in mind, we will also have the volatile rounds too, so this makes it worth using in endgame content even whilst underpowered. And if you use something like a good Void Heavy or Machine Gun, you could be pulling off crazy DPS. And the fact that going invisible on every volatile kill and then coming back out, it will instantly refresh all our timers, our devour, our volatile, and our invisibility, as well as our DPS buff when grabbing new void breaches that we create. So it's just a loop of infinite everything by chaining between each effect. And not just that, with the mods that we're using, even if you mess up, it will take you about 5 to 10 seconds to get the class ability back, which at that point we can just try again. But it's extremely unlikely that you won't have volatile rounds 99% of the time, because as long as you're killing stuff within around 15 seconds apart, you should be good. And as long as you have either volatile rounds or you're invisible, then you can start the whole process of that same loop again. If you really want to, you can just use volatile flow for your void weapons and a void cipher mod. That will generate an orb to give you devour and volatile rounds, or just rely on allies generating you the orbs, and then that will trigger the same process. Except you'll be relying on orbs to get volatile rounds instead of the exotic armor, which can complicate things a little, because if you run out of volatile rounds and have no orbs, you won't be able to consistently keep up with that loot. Now the second setup is more sort of laid back. You won't have devour and volatile rounds won't be consistent, but you'll have on demand infinite invis, which means if you're struggling in something like a Grandmaster Nightfall or a Master Activity while massively underpowered, you can just stay invisible permanently until you feel ready to come back into action. It'll be more slow paced, but it's the safer route and you'll feel kind of stronger too. The way this one works is you'll use one of multiple exotics. I prefer 6 Coyote because it gives you 2 dodge charges, and then using the aspect Trapper's Ambush, we can make ourselves invisible by using our melee charge. Once that timer runs out, we just then dodge near an enemy to go invisible again using the vanishing step aspect. But at the same time, using the gambler's dodge, it will recharge our melee. And because we have a bunch of mods and fragments and high mobility, we'll recharge the dodge quicker than we consume it before that time gets round to its third charge. So therefore infinite invis, which is great in GMs if you need to take your time and guarantee you go flawless when you have things like the Lightblade GM boss chasing you around. Now in terms of the setup of this build, all the mods will mostly be the same for each variant of the build, but these subclass aspects and fragments will differ slightly. But first, in terms of the exotics, for variant 1, we're going to use Gyrfalcons, but for variant 2, we're going to be using the 6 Coyote. Now all the alternative exotics you can use with the second variant of this build are Graviton Forfeit, Assassin's Cowl, Omnioculus, and Frostees. These will usually, in most cases, guarantee you always have invisibility for 100% uptime, but ideally 6 Coyote is what I found to be the most effective, especially for solo play. Omnioculus is what you want to use if you're playing with a team that I want to say is kind of bad, because that will help you out a lot. You can use other exotics too, like the Orpheus Rig and Star Eater Scales if you're using Moebius Quiver, but personally they've had their use over the years and I'm not really a fan of them anymore right now for Void. Now for the subclass, we're using the Shadow Shot Deadfall super ability on the Hunter Night Stalker subclass for both variants of this build. We're also using the Gambler's Dodge to get our melee back when dodging near enemies, and then a Vortex Grenade, but you can actually use any grenade you want. For aspects, if using Gyrfalcons, you want Stylish Executioner and Vanishing Step so that we can loop between the invis and volatile rounds. Then fragments, you want Echo of Cessation to make void breaches, Echo of Starvation for devour when picking up orbs and breaches, and then Echo of Persistence so that the buffs last longer, and Echo of Leeching, which I'm only using for the extra stat bonus, so you can use whatever you want here. If using 6 Coyote or any other exotic, you just want to replace Stylish Executioner with Trapper's Ambush, so our melee charge will make us invisible. And then fragments will be Echo of Leeching for the extra stat bonus, Echo of Dilation for again extra stats, and Echo of Persistence. If you can achieve 100 mobility and resilience without the fragment stats, then replace them with Echo of Cessation and Echo of Starvation like the first setup, and then rely on using orbs to get volatile rounds from the artifact to trigger devour, but you won't be able to loop between the invis and volatile rounds without the stylish aspect. For your loadout, you want a void energy weapon. It's really the only main requirement for this build. I recommend running the funnel web. That with volatile rounds is great for ad clearing. The mods for both setups, you want a void cipher mod in the helmet to generate orbs, a firepower and bolstering detonation in the arms, then in the chest you want a charged up and your damage resist mod, leg armor you want stacks on stacks and 2 insulation mods, and then the class armor, 2 utility kickstart mods for extra class energy. If you can slot on 3 then go with 3, and then lastly for the stat focus, you want 100 mobility as a priority. This is the mod screen here if you want to copy it directly, but there will be 2 dim links down below. And then this is the artifact setup. You just mostly want the Overload SMG mod, the Volatile Flow, the Shattered Orbs, which we'll use to generate orbs when breaking void shields. That's how we get our super really fast, by the way. And then Bricks from Beyond for more heavy ammo, and a Void Weapon Channeling for extra DPS. This is by far one of the best hunter builds in Destiny 2 Lightfall right now for Season 20, Season of Defiance. Honestly, give it a try and let me know what you think, but if this build isn't for you, then perhaps check out the playlist down below, as I do cover new and updated builds every week here on the channel. But for now guys, give this one a try, and I'll catch you very soon for the next build, because Warlocks, you're next.